If you've been following my channel long enough, then you know I've been an advocate for an MPC stem separation software for quite a while now. So when the MPC stem separation software was announced back in February, I was very excited about it. However, things didn't go as planned. The MPC stem separation software will only be available in the MPC software. It got so bad at one point I had to address all of the hatred, and comments like these became the norm in my comment section. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone is waiting to type something else in my comment section. But for now, it is available for both standalone and desktop. Per usual, the goalpost was moved. Fellow content creator Accurate Beats would show you how stems work. The biggest topic of that video happens to be the audio quality of the stems in standalone. So that he's comparing standalone to desktop. So you can definitely notice there is a quality difference between the standalone version of MPC Stems versus the software version of MPC Stems. And that has a lot to do with the available resources within any of the MPCs versus your regular desktop or laptop computer, which the MPC only has a quad-core processor, if I'm not mistaken, with the average being 2 gigs of RAM. And we all know that desktop computers, laptop computers usually have around like 8 gigs of RAM and probably a hexa-core processor or better. Another deciding factor that isn't spoke about often happens to be the audio quality of whatever you're trying to sample. The better the audio quality, the clearer it is, the more channels that it has, the better chances of the sample itself being separated evenly. And that actually goes with any stem separation software, not just the MPC Stems. What I'm going to do is show you how to get the most out of MPC Stems in standalone, and it can translate over to the MPC software version of it. But I'm gonna sample this vinyl right here and show you some cool effects that you can use to get the most out of the quality. All right, let's play it up real quick. Just gonna drop it right here. I like that. We'll sample it on the MPC. Let's press Shift and Sampler, or you might have the sampler button on the MPC 1 or the X or the Key 37. And we'll just make sure we got a signal here. And that's a good enough signal. And we'll just take it from here. Hit the middle button when you're ready. You kind of want to over record whenever you're sampling something. I'm gonna call this 3.6. I just put in 3.6. So we'll have something named that. And then we're gonna take it into the edit mode right here by hitting edit right here. And if you can't judge whatever you're chopping or whatever, just make sure that you go into process, and then you can just do normalize. Everything that's within this particular start and end point will be normalized while everything else won't. And now we got a nice high signal. I'll just go ahead and discard all the extra stuff for right now. And then now we'll just take it from here where we'll just get the end point. And it should be right here. Make sure you get the pops out, you know the vibes. Go back into process, discard the endpoint so that you have one clean sample loop right here. So to get into stems, you will have to go into process right over here at the bottom right part of your screen. Hit process. Let's go over here to the MPC stems, and we'll just select all this stuff. If you don't want the vocals, then you should unhighlight it. If you don't want the bass, you should unhighlight it. And if you don't want drums, then you should unhighlight it as well. So, you know, this is just a simple process. Hit do it, and then it'll go to the process of stem separation. Please keep in mind, the longer the sample, the longer it will take to process. I'm already done. I only use about 14 seconds. If you use a longer sample, it will take a long time. And it does not matter if it's the MPC software or something like Isotope RX, it will take a long time. This is what we got. So I separated that, the drums. Did a pretty decent job of the drums. I like that. some dead spots. I can hear it. Bass. You can hear a little bit of the vocal in it. And then let's see the vocals. Yeah, you could tell it didn't do a great job of processing it. But hey, I'm not using the vocals for much of anything in this instance. So the next thing I'm going to show you is something simple. I'll just go into the main screen. It's on program 1, but you can dictate where you want your stems to go. If you want to go back into your sample pool, you can do that. Right now it's on here because I want to show you by pressing and holding menu and hitting pad 14. If we were to access this particular thing, that all of the samples are on one pad. It's on the pad for a reason. If you hit the sample tab, then you can see what is the reason. I'm going to go ahead and go to Q link number 3, and then I can turn stuff up and down. It doesn't sound bad when it's in a collective part. Like that's without the drums. And this is basically with just the drums. One thing I would like to see Akai do is add a inverse feature, not reverse, but inverse. So inverse, what it does is it reverses the polarity instead of reversing the actual audio itself, so that way that it can cancel out other things. And the reason why I asked for that feature is because that will make it easier for you to kind of cancel out some of the extra vocals and stuff like that in terms of like the stems itself, even though that's how stem separation works. Just a cool idea to go a little further. But since that's not possible as of right now, or I haven't explored it, I'm just going to run the sample and tap tempo. 2, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to go into main, make sure that's at 67. Let's loop it for what it is right now. 3, 4. Now let's go back into program edit, and that's where I'm going to go over here into effects. So one of the main effects that you should use if you have updated your MPC, which that's the only way you'll be able to have access to the stems, is if you update your MPC software inside of here, the OS, you should look for something called an expander. So it should be expander by Air. So I'm wondering if it's under dynamics. I believe it should be dynamics. There we go, Air expander. And this is how we can clean up those drums. And as you can hear, if I turn it off, you can hear a little bit more harmonics in that drum. But if I turn on the expander, it will clean up that loop a little bit more. You can hit the pencil sign, and then you can mess with the expander, and it will clean up a lot of the stuff. You can use some of the presets, and it can even make it tighter as well. So I want to focus on the drums exclusively. Like you can tell there's some hi-hats missing. It doesn't really have that exact same groove, and it doesn't need to, because the reimagining part is where everything takes off. So the other thing I want to just show you is when you get your stems or whatnot, dude, don't forget the MPC is great at just editing samples in general. So if you just wanted the kick or something like that, and you want the snare, so you just go over there to the snare. So I got the snare right over here. I think this is the best snare for the job. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this out, and I'll make this into a new sample. It will do it on its own anyways. So go in the process here, and let's go ahead and go to discard. Now we got the snare right here. We can go and process. You can make it into, we can normalize it, of course. Let's go ahead and normalize it using the word normalize. Where is it at? There we go. And you got a new snare. So once you have that new snare, you know, you can also trim. Let's go ahead and discard it again. And so there we have it. We have a new drum. Sounds pretty cool. I had the volume down a little low. Yeah, it does hit. And that's where you can get really creative by going into something like menu, program edit. Well, actually, let's go ahead and pull up a new program or something like that. We'll just hit the plus sign, program 2. And then we'll go into program 2, assign the sample. Let's go and find the drum right here. Boom. and then we'll just add it to here. And now we have some new stuff. So add that drum. So I won't go over the whole entire process, but I will show you a couple of other things that people overlook in program editing when they are chopping up their drums and stuff like that. For an example, let's go back into program edit, and we can go over here. We see the snares like right here. We can go into effects. We can actually go over here into the second slot of effects, and then we can choose different things like ring modulation. We can activate that. We actually can change that effect. Of course, that's not going to be the effect that I want to use. I wouldn't. You can just change it into anything. Decimator. Let's go into decimator. Give it a lo-fi sound or whatever. Bit crushing is what that is, honestly. You can go into here and you could add gains. You can add different, let's see, what else do we have here? Hard clipper, soft clipper, tube drive, decimator, ring modulation, bit crusher, tube drive. Let's try tube drive and let's hear how that sounds like as we go through the cue links. So you can really crush the snare. Let's go ahead and add a soft clipper to it. I'm just kind of making stuff up as I go. Soft clipper. Ooh, that soft clips. Holy. And then we can go right back over here to the effect and then add an effect exclusively to that snare. So let's add a reverb, and we'll kind of turn down the reverb as is necessary, because it is very necessary to turn that down, but we just want kind of like a smooth little. Damn, that is a hell of a. All right, so we just changed the room size. Well, actually, there we go. Turn down the time a little bit. Now let's go ahead and get the kick. Now we have the kick in here, go in the process. We'll go over here and of course we'll just normalize it so we just have a loud signal. We hear a little bit of popping, so we'll just give it a little bit more space, move out of the way. And after that, simple process of discard, or you can actually extract it. You can extract it and make a new sample. I think that's a better idea instead of just discarding it. So that way you don't get rid of the original. And then you can have the drum right here. So the kick drum. I think that's actually a better idea. Matter of fact, honestly, I think I messed up by telling y'all to do discard, but I'll discard off that. Now we have a kick, and we can put this kick anywhere where we want. So let's go in the menu, program edit, and then we'll go back into the sample, this one, or actually you just go main and assign sample, and then go to that sample. So we have drum 2 right here. And if you have to make any adjustments, of course, you can just go into program edit and add like an envelope. So let's go ahead and make some adjustments. I'm going to do the AHDS, which gives me attack, decay, sustain, release, and all this other stuff. I don't know why they call it H on here, but I digress. So let's go ahead and mess with that. We can do it on the screen. Just in case if it looks crazy to you and you don't understand, I'll just use the screen or whatnot. Then we could just smooth out that one transient that pops. Let's give it a little bit more heft. And then if we have to build it anymore, we can go over here to the effects and just add an effect. I think one of the effects that was great for this was tube drive. I add a little bit of that, and then we'll just go over here to gain. Ooh, gain doesn't do anything. I'll just go ahead and make the adjustments here. I'll just go and select something else. Let's go ahead and select, what was it? Soft clipper, I think. Now, it is hitting. And if we want to make any changes to the root note, we can go over here to semitone. Might benefit from a filter too. So what we can do in terms of this is just add a filter. So let's go ahead and add a low pass filter to that kick. which is something that almost every single person that has worked with a groove box has done time from time. But if you're new, you wouldn't know that. So let's go ahead and add a low pass filter, and we can cut stuff off, add resonance, and so forth. We just designing the drums. So I want to be a little bit more open though. Overall, I believe that the MPC stem separation for Standalone is useful. Is it exactly the same as the MPC stem separation in the software? No. Will it have its use cases? Absolutely, especially if you want to kind of take drums and make it into something new. I don't think the whole purpose of sampling is to do the exact or use the exact same thing. Sometimes it is, but yes, we'll experiment more with it in the future, as I am thoroughly happy it is here.